like 3 weeks ago before this happened, I said, what is going on with this like dark magic with the Chiefs? And then we've seen it like 3 weeks in a row since then. I'm really tired of it.
Christmas Day, Steelers Dark Magic versus Chiefs Dark Magic on a streaming platform that no one is going to be able to watch because they still don't know how to do live broadcasts. Peace on earth. I don't know her.
I'm excited to watch Netflix Buffer while I'm trying to watch Beyonce. Really looking forward to that.
Well, at least it's not Mike Tyson's ass.
Fair point. Fair point. We just might see Mike T's ass. Go into the locker room, Mike T, mic'd up, and he's just wearing a jockstrap.
Yeah, the other Mike T, Mike Tomlin, going for an outfit change at halftime.
And speaking of getting the party started.
For the victory lap, though. They ain't never seen nothing like this before. Lit the room when I came through the front door. Ask me if I stress overcome, what for? Train in the trees, please pardon my sycamore. Touch burning sands, cross lands, and stormy shore seasons in the year, yeah. Switch gears, we keeping haters in the rear. At the blood, sweat, and tears, and my goal so near. I see my victory so clear. I see my victory so clear. And today, we break through. 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 And today, we break through.
What's up, yins, guys? It is episode 56 of everybody's favorite podcast and the only one in the world that talks about our two loves exclusively, that being Formula One and football. It's the Gridiron Podcast, episode 56. Katie, I see you wrote here, it's the... No, I'm not going to say that name. It's the Lawrence Taylor episode? Really? We're going to go with Lawrence Taylor? Of all people,
who else did you have?
I don't know. We can find another 56. I mean, yes, he's one of the greatest defensive players of all time, but also, yeah, you know, are we going to have a Deshaun Watson episode here at some point later down the line?
It's the Carlos Dansby episode.
Yeah, there we go. We're
Come
starting
up with another one on the spot, Sean.
I'm just reading what you wrote in the rundown here, and you're catching me off guard. Anyway, it is episode 56 of the Gridiron Podcast. We took a couple of weeks off. Schedules are tough to manage, especially this time of the year. How you guys doing?
Doing our best. Same answer as every week, really.
Awesome.
How are you guys doing?
I also forgot to just introduce us. That shows how great of a host I am. I'm Sean Barie, as always. That's Katie Caldwell. If you're watching on Twitch or Twitter, up in the right-hand corner, our Canadian queen, and then up in the left-hand corner, holding down the fort in the land, Nick Shook.
I'm doing a silent flex.
Slow flex. This is great for the audio medium.
Silent flex. This is, you can always catch us on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Actually, not Twitter, because we don't pay for Twitter Blue. X Blue, whatever the hell it is. Not giving
Whatever
you our money
it is anymore. No.
That's the only time I'll detonate.
We don't even make any money off this podcast.
We call it Twitter in this family.
It is Twitter. Good. Nick, how are you? How are things as an NFL.com talent writer this time of year?
Hectic, man. Still got a few QB index games to get done with. It's the most stressful time of the year. No, it's cool, man. You know, we're in the stretch run, and I just keep telling myself 5 weeks until my life slows down and the playoffs get here. And before you know it, we'll be in New Orleans for the Super Bowl.
By we, you mean yourself.
Likely not the two of us.
Yeah, it's on Fox, so I might, as a Fox reporter, have a shot at going, but maybe I'm just going to hitch it. Maybe I'll just like fly up and like, you know, be a stowaway in your hotel room. Hopefully you have a pull-out couch.
Remember when you were almost going to do that in Vegas and then you didn't?
It's a little bit easier of a flight from Tampa, Florida to New Orleans versus Tampa to Las Vegas. A little bit easier. Also, I do love New Orleans. That is a fun city. I will hear no hate about Bourbon Street. So here's how we do. If you're new to this podcast, here's how we do it. We go through the week that was in the NFL quickly with Nick's rapid reactions. We'll talk about a couple of other points around the NFL. And then we've got a fun little segment tonight where we're going to introduce a new rule, a rule that we would like to see implemented into the game of football. I believe Katie even has a rule that she wants implemented in the NHL as well. And we'll get to that. Before we get started, though, as always, please like, subscribe, listen, drop us a 5-star review. You can even email us at thegridironpodcast3. That is thegridironpodcast3. Damn those other two. @gmail.com. We recently got an email from one Chris Lindsay, and we want to say thank you, Chris, for listening and sending in that email. A loyal listener, and we appreciate it. You guys are why we do this.
We're not reading it.
Well, when we talk about the rule change, because he was the one that suggested this is a segment idea, which we love that. Any segment ideas you'd like to hear us go over, send us an email.
I love it. I didn't have the email pulled up, Nick, but if you did, you can go ahead and read it.
I
don't know it. Yeah, there we go. All right.
So
thanks, Chris.
So I'll read his suggestion when we do the segment. That's
sure. That works. That
off
works
to a
too.
Roaring start.
We are.
We've had a few weeks.
Forgot to do a lot of other things. Let's get to Nick's rapid reactions. Week 13 of the NFL officially in the books. And boy, was it a doozy because we started with not one Thursday night game, but 3 because, well, that was Thanksgiving. Food, family, football. What a glorious day. Nick, are you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Katie, are you ready?
Sure. I'm just along for the ride.
Cool. All right. We're going to starting with the first game. Bears 20, Lions 23. Nick?
Interesting that Sean reads the losing score first. Doesn't seem
Shut
to
up.
be the traditional way, but we'll go with it. All right. Rapid reactions. Bears sleepwalk through the first half. Lions can't finish drives because the Bears defense still kind of scrappy. But in the second half, once the Lions built a decent lead, Caleb Williams just wakes up and injects life into this offense with Thomas Brown as their OC, soon to be interim head coach, and he leads a number of scoring drives. It starts early in the third. He leads a 9-play, 74-yard drive. He throws a 31-yard touchdown pass to Keenan Allen.
I'm sorry, these are rapid reactions. We're going to the next one. Cowboys 27, Giants 20.
Wait, hold on.
That was a big game.
Yeah, it was a big game because of how it ended, which is
rapid.
After Williams lead 3 touchdown drives and looks really good again. Fantastic. They lose because with like 36 seconds left, they fail to call more than one play. By the time the play gets in and they call it and they execute it, they've run out of time. And the clock mismanagement was so ugly that I got texts from everybody all over the country. And the next morning, Matt Eberflus has a press conference, and hours later, he walks the plank and he's fired.
Why did they make him do press beforehand? It blows my mind.
Because they were in a meeting. That organization is just a dumpster fire anyway. Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, this is the best job in the NFL." It might be, but the organization in and of itself is not. All right, that was a rapid recap. Let's go to a rapid reaction, Nick. Cowboys 27, Giants 20.
Giants still stink. Drew Lock had a rushing touchdown. That was cool. Otherwise, not great. Cooper Rush, 21-36. All right, not bad. Just one of those games where you're like on paper early in the year, oh, this would be cool. And then you get to Thanksgiving, you're like, God, this sucks. But the Cowboys suck less.
All right. Packers 30, Dolphins 17.
Jordan Love, good enough to win. 2 touchdown passes. Tua Tagovailoa, maybe also good enough to win, but Dolphins not good enough to mount a legitimate comeback. They were down by 24 points in the middle of the third quarter of this game. It looked over. They made it interesting. Tyreek Hill caught a pass off a deflection, and ultimately they lose 13 points, and they're 5-7 and running out of time.
I'm going to need everyone to stop making fun of Dolphins players for complaining about the weather in Green Bay. Just to let you know, right now, as we record this at 11:18 on December 3rd, 2024, it is like 45 degrees in Tampa, Florida. This is why I have this hoodie on right now. Okay?
Oh, it's 45 degrees. I'm a freeze,
cold.
baby. I'm so
we are
cold.
Not built for this weather. There is a reason why the Dolphins never win in the cold weather, because to us, it's bone-chilling cold even when it's in the 40s.
Katie,
all right, next
Katie,
up.
this is your moment. Please step in and dunk on him.
Well, and if you're a good franchise, you just learn how to do it. Like, I just don't look at that as an excuse. But I'm sitting here in like -10, which I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit because that system doesn't make any sense. But this is one time where I won't hear your complaints about the cold. I live in the Canadian Rockies, and it's December. So I'm sorry you have to wear a sweater today.
I'm sorry you get to go skiing whenever you want.
Oh, it's 14 degrees Fahrenheit, which is also cold.
Which is very cold, yes. All right, Black Friday football on Prime. Chiefs 19, Raiders 17.
Chiefs still look like an ugly operation, but find ways to get it done. Raiders wake up out of nowhere, score 2 touchdowns. Aiden O'Connell throws for a ton of yards. He actually looked pretty good. He threw for 340. Brock Bowers is a dog. but another operational failure. Down in the last drive, they botched the snap because they break the huddle with only like 6 seconds left on the play clock, and they lose a heartbreaker in Kansas City, and the Chiefs just keep figuring out ways to win, even if it's often by the other team's mistakes.
These are less reactions than recaps. Just a note, an editor's note in there.
Remember like 3 weeks ago before this happened, I said, what is going on with this like dark magic with the Chiefs? And then we've seen it like 3 weeks in a row since then. I'm really tired of it.
Christmas Day, Steelers dark magic versus Chiefs dark magic on a streaming platform that no one is going to be able to watch because they still don't know how to do live broadcasts. Peace on earth. I don't know her.
I'm excited to watch Netflix Buffer while I'm trying to watch Beyonce. Really looking forward to that.
Well, at least it's not Mike Tyson's ass.
Fair point. Fair point. We just might see Mike T's ass. Go into the locker room, Mike T mic'd up, and he's just wearing a jock strap.
Yeah, the other Mike T, Mike Tomlin, going for an outfit change at halftime.
Now that image is all in our minds, finally we get to some Sunday football. Chargers 17, Falcons 13. Kirk, go!
Gross. Just a gross game. The Falcons, who entered the game with 10 sacks as a team on the year, worse than the NFL, get 5 sacks on the Chargers. They dominate time of possession, and Kirk Cousins throws 4 interceptions. Kirk Cousins might get benched. Like, he's not going to get benched, but they should think about it because
is it time? I think it's time.
Yeah, he's hurting them. He's got 6 picks in the last 3 weeks, no touchdowns. He's thrown 2 pick sixes. He's got a stretch as bad as Brett Favre in weeks 14 through 16 in 2005. Brett Favre, Hall of Famer. Kirk Cousins, not. Falcons 6-6. Buccaneers right on their tails. Got to figure it out quickly. Might need to change quarterback.
And unfortunately, they have no more games to play against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in which Kirk Cousins looks like an MVP, not an MVP, but the MVP against the Buccaneers, throwing for more than 750 yards against them. Next up, the Steelers 44, Bengals 38.
Well, this will make Sean smile. Russ is indeed cooking. Throws for over 400 yards. A lot of big plays, some busted coverages, some mistakes on the part of the Bengals. George Pickens, 3 catches, 74 yards, touchdown, gets blasted for 2 taunting penalties.
1 touchdown, 2 personal fouls.
Yeah,
that's
offense
a George
is rolling.
Pickens stat line.
Russ is playing good ball. He's playing good ball within the system, and that's why they won this game. They also won this game because their defense scored a defensive touchdown. Got a pick as well, which they turned into points later. Joe Burrow once again throws for over 300 yards, and his team loses.
I feel for Joe Burrow. I really do. I felt for him when he got lost in New York, and I feel for him now, even though he just bought a $3 million Batmobile.
We can officially put the Bengals to bed, by the way. They're never going to overcome this. They're done.
No.
That defense isn't good enough.
It's horrible. It's a horrible defense. Vikings 23, Cardinals 22.
Oh, fun game. Sneaky fun game. Cardinals take a lead. Vikings come storming back. Sam Darnold finds his inner cojones in the 4th quarter, leads a couple of touchdown drives. John Parker Romo hits a field goal. They win by a point. And all of Kyler Murray's work goes for naught as the Cardinals fall to 6-6. They still have an opportunity to win the NFC West, which does not want to decide itself anytime soon.
They are having a mid-off in the NFC West.
Yes, South and the NFC West. Like,
the
NFC South has become the NFC West.
Yeah, I would take the West over the South, but yeah.
Oh, so would I. Absolutely. Colts 25, Patriots 24.
Anthony Richardson, the highs and lows of this man. Scattershot performance, doesn't throw the ball very well. But then he leads a touchdown drive in the final minutes of the game and finishes it off by having a little keeper for a 2-point conversion. Shane Steichen, another big cojones call, goes for 2 and for the win. Richardson gets it done. Drake May continues to succeed. Patriots, perfect scenario. Rookie quarterback plays well, you still lose. Draft pick, still good.
I think that in the near future, the Colts will eventually move on from Anthony Richardson, but man, is he fun to watch in the interim.
He'll get another year. I think.
No, I know he'll get another year, but it's not going to last forever. Seahawks 26, New York Jets 21. Katie, let's start with you here. You're a Seahawks fan. How good did it feel for your Hawks to take down, Aaron Rodgers?
Well, Seattle was not perfect in that game, but as both a Seahawks fan and an Aaron Rodgers hater, that game felt like a drunk Siggy.
Mwah.
It felt so good.
Chef's kiss.
Ooh, everything about it, just the ending of it, the discourse afterwards. Eat it up.
Special teams, the worst performance I've ever seen from an NFL team in one game on the part of the Seahawks. Right. They fumbled like 3 kick returns. They recovered a couple of them. They lost another one. Kenny Longmove from the Jets, who used to be a good kick return man for the Vikings, makes his debut, punches out the ball in a kick return, gets the fumble. The Jets do. Then he takes one back later for a touchdown, and yet the Jets still lose because Aaron Rodgers got picked off by a 300-pound defensive lineman who housed it. Drunk
Big
game.
6, baby.
Drunk
Big
game.
6. Commanders 42, Titans 19.
Commanders back in cruise control. Another
back.
team that jumped all over another team in the first half. By the time the Titans had run 10 plays, they were down 21-0. Then they fumbled a kickoff return, and the Commanders got the ball again right after scoring a touchdown and scored again. Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin hooking up for 2 touchdowns. Great performance from those two. Brian Robinson running through that defense like a hot knife through butter. Will Levis doesn't look terrible. The deep ball is kind of working for him lately, but the Titans did not play like I thought they would. They're scrappy, but they fell behind by too many in this game.
How about Texans 23, Jags 20?
Texans take an early lead. The whole discourse about this game is, of course, the late hit on Trevor Lawrence, which put him in the fencing position and required a cart to remove him from the field, although not on a backboard. The Texans played with their food.
Do they just not have like a cart like with a backboard on it in Jacksonville?
I don't think they thought it was required.
No,
I don't think it was required. I think they looked at him and they were like, okay, we'll just take him off in a chair. But yeah, the Texans play with their food a little too much. They're still not a smooth operation. But Joe Mixon, 101 yards, still balling, and Mac Jones kind of played well, which was weird.
My fantasy darling, Joe Mixon. Gotta love that pickup. Rams 21, Saints 14.
Rough game to watch until the third quarter when the Rams and Saints both woke up. Saints take a lead, Rams erase it. Matthew Stafford finds some clutch gene in him, leads a couple of touchdown drives, throws a great pass to Demarcus Robinson, then he throws another pass to him for a touchdown. Rams stay alive. Saints 4-8, definitely done.
How about those Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the team I cover? 26, Panthers 23 in overtime.
The great Southern rock band, as they once sang, I'm driving down the road and I'm flirting with disaster. Molly Hatchet was the band, and those are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this matchup. The Panthers are a spicy bunch. They pushed the Chiefs to the limit a week earlier, and they did the same thing to the Bucs, nearly won the game. But the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield, he overcomes a couple of bad interceptions, leads them on a drive to tie the game, leads them on a drive to win the game on a field goal. Bryce Young, looking good, baby. He's blossoming right before our eyes. He's going to have that job going into next year.
Tell you what, I was taking the dog out for a walk, taking Lando out for a walk, and I had the game on my phone, and I'm watching it, and the Panthers are driving, and they get into field goal range with that insane Adam Thielen catch. I'm like, well, that's the game. That's overtime. By the time I took my phone, put it in my pocket, put Lando in the car, turned the car on, all I heard was Gene Deckeroff's voice going, Yaya Diaby has the ball. It's a fumble recovery. Tampa Bay Buccaneers football. We have the football. I'm like, oh.
That's pretty good.
That was good.
Thank you. All of 3 seconds. Nothing but love, Gene. All of 3 seconds has gone by, and Baker Mayfield now has the football with a chance to go down the field and just get into field goal range.
Yeah, Chuba Hubbard fumbled in overtime. Big bummer for the Panthers, who played well enough to win but lost, which good scenario for them. Keep your draft pick looking good.
We don't need a full recap for this one. Bills 35, 49ers 10.
49ers are too hurt, and it snowed like you know what. They had a nice touchdown drive in the second half, but the Bills' offense is rolling, and they scored a number of different ways. And Josh Allen had a classic Josh Allen game. He caught a pass that he threw for a touchdown.
And I'm a little mad because he was starting my fantasy lineup, and he didn't get credit for both a passing and receiving touchdown. I think he should have gotten 12 points on that one play.
No,
why not? He threw it and caught it.
This is 2 against 1. He should have got the points.
Thank you. That's 12 points. I don't. That by the rules, that is 12 points.
I'm just a hater.
Okay. How about Broncos 41, Browns 32? What an emotional roller coaster. A glass case of emotion that was on Monday Night Football, Nick.
Jameis was famous to a T. That was like a microcosm of his entire career in one game.
You never want to go full Jameis. But last night, Jameis Winston went full Jameis.
He went full Jameis.
It was so fun to watch, right? He throws for 497 yards and 4 touchdowns, completes 34 of 58 passes. throws the Browns into this game that like they couldn't get a stop. They kept giving up massive explosive plays, and then their defense is playing well, but then they give up an explosive play, and then Jameis throws a pick six, and suddenly they're down 10 points, and then Jameis throws a touchdown, and it's just back and forth. And I was like, oh my God, this game is hammered. And then Jameis throws a pick six when they're down by a point, and then they're down by 9, and he throws another interception in the end zone at the other game. He sets the single game record for the Browns for passing yards. He sets a career high for passing yards. Jerry Jeudy gets his revenge game by catching 9 passes for 235 yards and a touchdown in a game that he proceeded by just talking mad shit to Broncos fans all week and during the game. Like he brought it on them and it motivated him.
I mean,
the Browns
he
lose.
backed it up. He backed it up.
He absolutely did. The Browns still lose, so he doesn't get the last laugh. The Broncos do. But the Broncos also gave up 497 passing yards to Jameis Winston and 552 to a team that couldn't break 20 points for like 9 weeks. So, a little concerning there, Denver.
A little bit. A little concerning also that the Steelers have the Browns coming up this week. Please, Lord, not again. Speaking of Lord,
the Steelers will win that game.
Nick, I did not. You said that last time too. Why do you put that evil on me?
Well, is it going to snow half a foot?
That's true. Speaking of the good Lord, Nick, I wasn't raised in a very religious household. Obviously, you went to a Catholic high school, played CYO football. Remind me, what part of Scripture delivers us from pick sixes, as Jameis alluded to after the game?
It's like I texted you. It's the start of Revelations right before the flaming horse shows up to signal the end times.
That's it. It might be the end of the times, at least for this season, for the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, it is. But Jameis is fun to watch. I had idiots texting me, not idiots, friends, but people who should check themselves.
Okay, if they're friends, you can call them idiots.
Saying, Jameis is pricing himself out of town. that guy, the guy who just threw 2 pick sixes in the game.
And you tweeted it too. After Denver took the lead with that late field goal, you're like, we all know what's coming next, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody knew. Yes. 100%. I didn't think it would be a pick six, but I think it was appropriate that it was a pick six. And then he threw another pick even when they were on the 1 yard line. Like suddenly that game actually looked like, oh wait, Cleveland's on the 1 yard line. They could score, get the onside kick. I mean, they have a chance here.
They still had 2 timeouts at the time.
And then he went full Jameis. Then Jameis went full Jameis.
Just as the Lord intended.
That's Nick. That's Nick's rapid reactions. Let's get into our fun segment of the week because our email listener, Chris Lindsay, had a great idea. Katie, read us through that.
So he reached out, and I love that the title of the email was called "Still Love the Show, but Need More Katie." Chris, you can email us whenever you would like, my friend. That is very welcome. So he said a bunch of lovely things about us, which was great, and then he had an idea for a segment. Asking us to come up with one new rule we'd like to see implemented in the NFL. So this is his idea to kick us off. So he says, I've been saying for years that they should only do 1 coin toss a game. Whoever receives the opening kick should also receive the kickoff in overtime. Right now, most coaches will defer to receiving the second half kickoff so that they can potentially double up at the end of the first half and the beginning of the second half. With a 1 coin toss rule, coaches need to think if they want to receive the ball in the second half or, in the rare chance there's overtime, receive the ball first then. So he says it would also provide some strategy near the end of the game, and if you already know you would receive the ball first in overtime, maybe you go for the tie at the end of regulation, or if you know your opponent receives the ball first, then maybe you go for the win at the end of regulation. What do you guys think of that one? I thought that was interesting, and I hadn't really thought of that one before.
I was kind of, you lost me there on most of it, but then at the end, like I agree. Yes, if you are in a situation where you could potentially be going into overtime, I see where that could play in, at least, like scheme wise. But then again, no coach is playing for a tie in the end. Like if there is a chance, that's like why the Hail Mary exists. If there's a chance to even avoid overtime, I think coaches are going to take it.
I actually love this idea because I think it would vastly change how people approach late game scenarios with a tie on the table. If you are down 3, you're going to kick the field goal if you have to get to overtime to stay alive. But there's got to be something in the back of your head that says, well, they're going to get the ball first in overtime. And it's kind of like how they approach the end of half scenarios where okay, we have the ball here. We don't we received the kickoff in the second half. Let's go down and try and score and do what they often know as doubling up. Let's try to double up. Let's score here, get the ball after halftime, score again. Kind of similar in that fashion, except the game is on the line. I think this is a fantastic idea. And if I had any pull with 345 Park, I would slide it over in their direction for consideration at the annual competition committee meeting.
Still, if you're on like the 20-yard line, right, with 3 seconds left, down 3, and you know the other team is going to get the ball to start overtime,
it doesn't apply there though. If you're down 3 and at what, their 20-yard line or your 20-yard line?
Their 20-yard line. You're not going to chance it trying to.
No,
go
you're kicking the field goal to stay alive. Yeah,
Yeah.
but if there's 15 seconds left and you're there's been many times where we saw it in that Bears Vikings game where the Bears got in field goal range and they were able to position themselves for a field goal. You see it often where there's 45 seconds left and now, suddenly we're in field goal range. Screw trying to go for the touchdown. We're going to set up for the field goal to try to send it to overtime. Well, if you know they're going to get the ball, then you take the risk.
I see what you're saying. You're saying you're not going to play for the tie as early.
Yes.
Okay, I got you. Okay, I see that there.
Bucks Chiefs. What would they have done in that game? Todd Bowles could go for 2, knowing that the Chiefs were going to get the coin, get the ball first in overtime.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yep. No complaints here then. Yeah, that's not a bad rule. Who wants to start off with their idea?
I'll go last. You guys go for it.
John.
Isn't it obvious? Each team needs to possess the ball in overtime. Like this isn't complicated, folks.
Like in the regular season, you mean?
In the playoffs too. I want to see. Look, I just watched Georgia Tech and Georgia go to 8 overtime.
They do.
They changed that after Bills Chiefs. So in the playoffs, they changed that. Yeah. You manifested this, Sean. Look at this.
In the regular season.
All right.
Why is it
creativity?
It's only in the playoffs.
Because it just means more, Sean.
What was the controversy in the Super Bowl then? Like, what was that was
the clock. Nobody had any idea whether they were actually going to run out of time because they were running out of time. And they're like, oh my God, it's still tied. What's happening here? That was the case. And the Niners had a possession, so that wipes out the whole each team gets a possession thing. They already had one.
I'd still like to see each team get a possession, even if it is in the regular season. This is brought on by Georgia Tech watching 8 overtimes, and I was deeply engaged and enthralled in that one.
It was thrilling, but it was also gross. And do you want NFL to get that gross?
Sure, why not? Let's get weird. I do have another one though, and this is brought on by Rob Manfred. If you don't know who he is, he's the commissioner of baseball, and he's making waves today in headlines because he wants what's called the golden at-bat rule, and he's saying there's a lot of buzz about it. A lot of people are saying there's a lot of buzz. Nobody, Rob, is saying that. The only people that are saying that there's buzz
many
about
people are saying
exactly.
Many people, they don't talk about that, but many people are saying, this could be the greatest rule change in the history of baseball. I mean, the greatest that we've ever seen. Nobody's ever been better than the golden at bat.
Exactly.
Aaron Judge coming to the plate for my New York Yankees.
Wasn't fully going to go there, but no, you're right. I mean, Rob Manfred is peddling this idea, like everyone's talking about it. No one was talking about it before you today, Rob, and no one wants this. Go read the comments on social media. You are getting, as the kids say, ratioed. What the golden at bat rule is basically is one player on your team once a game gets to come up to bat, even if it's not their turn in the lineup. So let's take Aaron Judge, for example. Say he just batted last inning. You're in the bottom of the lineup. Yankees are down by 1. They've got a runner on. Are you going to have, Jazz Chisholm up there? No, you're going to have Aaron Judge. And so they get to insert him in there. That's so stupid.
Okay, so where's this tie-in?
I'm sorry, Mr. Rapid Recap instead of reactions.
Yeah, there's a note. There's a production note.
Thank you. There's a production note. I think you should have the ability to just manifest any Hall of Fame quarterback onto the field at one point. Like Tom Brady gets to come back and just, down by 6, time expiring, he gets to throw a pass. How about that?
Grace, anything to get him out of the booth, I'm in. Put him back on the field.
He's getting better, guys. He's getting
objectively worse. I don't know how that happens. He's getting worse.
I think he's doing okay. He's getting better.
No, he's not.
I'm not contractually obligated to say that. I think he
You know,
actually.
KB. They got a man coverage. Look here, it's third down, and he's got to make that throw, but the protection isn't great. And, just got to try harder.
Wow, Tom, thanks so much. That was so insightful as a viewer, and I learned a lot.
Also, to go along with the golden football rule, I guess we could call it, we could just get like a mulligan. How about that?
Actually,
Fourth and 1, and you run a draw, and it gets stuffed. You know what? Sorry, that's on ROC. He sucks. It's Matt Canada. My bad.
Yeah,
mulligan.
Like one per game.
Yeah, get a mulligan.
I like that.
That's fun.
That's chaotic.
Called the Matt Canada rule. Sorry guys, that jet sweep didn't work. Let's retry that one.
I want to say like Madden 2000 had that in the game. I remember using that as a kid. I didn't even understand what mulligans were. I'm just thinking about and here coming out of the stands coming out of the booth is Troy Aikman, who told everybody on national television on Monday night that he tore his hamstring at Barry's boot camp and said he could still run faster than Jameis Winston. Here comes the throw pass for the Browns.
And I like how Joe Buck doubled down. He's like, I'm sure we could set that race up. He's like, oh, no, we don't need to do that.
That might be unhinged, but at least I learned something from it. So thank you.
You can tear your hamstring at Barry's boot camp, yeah.
No, I just learned that he did that. At least he taught me something. I haven't learned
Barry's
one
boot
thing
camp.
from Tom Brady this season.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Katie, what's your rule change?
No, Katie wants to go last. I'll go next.
Sorry.
My rule is more about stat keeping. I think football should have an official score like baseball, and there are people in the press box who are obviously in charge of stats, right? But I think we should have an official score because I think that we need to implement earned and unearned interceptions. I can't tell you how many times over the last almost 2 seasons I've done QB Index where I've seen a box score. I go back to watch the game. I see that they threw 2 picks, and then I watch the picks, and it's not their fault. Like it's a great play by the defender to tip the ball in the air, or a receiver, ran the wrong route, or there was a miscommunication of some sort.
George Pickens falls down, and Cam Taylor-Britt runs it back the other way.
George Pickens falls down and gets also thrown down by the back of his helmet by Cam Taylor-Britt, and then exactly. Like that's not Russ's fault, right? That should be an unearned interception. Like it's like baseball has earned and unearned runs.
Okay.
Guy on second base is on because the infielder committed an error. That's not the pitcher's fault that he ends up scoring. I think it should be the same thing, and we should do it in every football game, and that would add the clarification we need to properly judge guys by numbers, because that's all the common fan does, because they don't have the time like I do, and I really don't have the time to watch all the games. And then they listen to people on TV who definitely didn't watch the games, but they got all their hot takes. Let's fix that at least.
I like that too, because there's always the asterisks after of but 2 of them weren't really his fault. And that would really solve that problem of taking out a lot of the gray area.
Right. Streamline it.
I like that.
All right, it's your turn, Katie.
Yep.
One thing I would change, I think a flag should be negated on a play if the touchdown was really cool.
Well, first off, I love the way, as always, that you say
flag. Especially if it's a big boy touchdown. And I think this really started floating around. I think it was about 3 years ago when one of my favorite plays of all time, the big man touchdown for the Dolphins. I think it was Robert Hunt, but he didn't report as eligible. The whole cartwheel touchdown, and he's celebrating like it's a touchdown, knowing full well that it's not. But I was thinking about this on Sunday because there was a Wildcat touchdown run by Ramondre Stevenson, and they lined up in shotgun, and then Drake May motioned out. And I was watching it being like, this is the coolest thing that they've done all year. And then, of course, the flag is flown. And it was like, man, it's the Pats offense. Just let us have this one. Another one, I think it was last season, Travis Kelce caught the ball and then passed it to Kadarius Toney, and then he scored the touchdown. But then there's a flag, and it's yeah, but that touchdown was objectively cool.
It was. I think that was the first time that they had that lateral backwards that they did several times, almost like a hook and ladder play. It's why'd you call them for holding? That was really cool.
But especially if it's a big boy touchdown, the flag just doesn't count. We can just all agree. We go to a panel of judges. That was cool shit. We're going to let that stand.
I like that. We go to a panel of judges. Oh, no, it's the Russian judge.
Oh, no, not again. Do you want to hear my bonus one that I would change in the NHL?
Course.
And
sure.
This one I've been talking about for 25 plus years. I have always thought that goalies should have to serve their own penalties.
Interesting.
Wouldn't that be so good?
Would we put the backup goalie in net?
No.
Or it's empty?
They just
No, somebody else has to go try to. As a team, they have to try to like protect.
The defenders can like choose to be there, or they can like join the play and be cycling the puck. But like, I think it would be so funny if the goalie had to go sit in all of their equipment in the penalty box,
So
and then
we would.
everyone else just had to figure it out around them. I'm very passionate about that one.
I like
So we
that.
would have 5-on-5 hockey still technically, but one of the nets would be empty.
It's just like having an empty net.
Yeah.
Essentially, so you can have the extra attacker.
No, but you would have even strength. It would still be 5-on-5, 5 skaters versus 5 skaters. Just one team would
Yeah.
have a goal and the other one wouldn't. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not the
That'd be
worst.
fun.
It's not the worst. Okay.
It would be
I'm on board
really
with that.
funny to watch happen because there's a chance that. Oh, and that they have to serve the whole penalty, so you could.
Oh,
score
so they
like
can just keep
6
scoring at will. Well, they don't even do that now. That's excessive. That's just kicking a dog while it's down.
She's
This
a
is
master
my
of chaos.
this is my world, but also the goalies get penalties so rare that it would add such a fun discourse to the game.
I agree.
I'm on board. I'm on
That'd be
board
fun.
with that.
Let's do it.
Full
Sign me
on.
up. Sign me up.
Anything else for football, guys?
No.
All right, let's shift gears. Let's talk about F1 because, well, we missed Vegas because we couldn't find the time to get together. And also, we just had the Qatar Grand Prix, the penultimate Grand Prix of the season. So while we were away, Max Verstappen got crowned world champion, asterisk, for the 4th time in a row.
Should put the asterisk after the 4th time in a row.
Yeah,
and not
you lost me
before.
for a second there, and then
He
you gained
definitely
me back.
won this one.
He did. Sorry, the 4th time in a row, asterisk.
He
That
won
better,
this
Nick?
one, and Lando lost it.
And
Oh,
Lando
Lando.
lost
Oh,
it.
yes. Push his buttons.
It sounds weird when you say it like that. Either way, 4-time champ.
Maybe it was
Is there a
intended.
better place to win a world championship than Las Vegas? Because drunk Max Verstappen in the media pen afterwards was just that was a thing of beauty.
That was a
George
gift.
wins the race, and he's like, "You guys can leave without me. I'm staying here and partying." And I was like, "They get it. They get it."
It was the funniest thing in the world because on the radio, Toto just goes, "George, we should have a drink in LA tonight. George, we should get a drink in Los Angeles." Toto, I'm staying here, mate. Like, what do you mean Los Angeles?
And then he's like, "Okay, I'll stay here too."
I'm not going. This is Vegas, man. I'm not going to LA. Screw
Your
that.
Toto's really funny, Sean. I like
Thank
your
you.
Toto.
It's got a little bit of Arnold Schwarzenegger in there, but I don't really know how to do an Austrian accent.
Get to the paddock.
So Max wins his
Lewis,
4th title.
You got me in a meat grinder.
Lewis, we know the car is shit. Just drive it.
Oh my God. No.
I just imagine
And
like a
it's
Terminator.
really funny
No,
too,
Michael.
because
No.
I
Michael.
want to know what accent is because Toto is married to Susie Wolf, who is Scottish, and I want to know what accent their son has. Like, how do you take a half Austrian, half Scottish baby? What accent does he grow up with?
You show him a bunch of Gen Z videos, and he sounds like a kid who lives in freaking Maine. I don't know.
What?
Mean.
Yeah, he just has an accent that's neither. Just nothing.
He just has like a perfect like Northern Atlantic accent.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, we go from Vegas, we go all the way around the world to Qatar. That's the race that just occurred, the penultimate race. Max Verstappen wins this race. It was a boring race, let's be honest. Qatar is one of those tracks that could disappear off the calendar, and I wouldn't even care nonetheless. What was interesting wasn't necessarily what happened on track, but what kind of happened on and off the track in a sense. Allow me to explain. So Max Verstappen, he gets pole position, and oh no, he doesn't. He gets moved back. A one-place grid penalty. I've never heard of a one-place grid penalty before. He gets a one-place grid penalty after qualifying for kind of blocking George Russell while George wasn't even on a flying lap, but he was on an out lap. So afterwards, George complains to the stewards. The stewards give Max a one-place grid penalty. All of a sudden, George Russell is now on pole position. Max still beats him to the first corner, wins the race. We also had a situation in which Lando looked like he was potentially going to attempt to win the race, or maybe attempt to pass Max for the umpteenth time this season. And then he gets a 10-second stop-go penalty for not slowing under double yellow flags. Why were there double yellow flags, Sean? And what does that mean? It means the cars were directed to slow down on the only straight on this circuit, the only place that you could really pass another car. Because why, Katie?
What? Sorry, what was the question? Because why?
Okay.
Are we talking about
I was going to say, I just want to say, and I'm not trying to call you out here, but that was a classic, like, teacher going on a rant in high school, and then suddenly they just call on you to answer their question, and you were daydreaming.
Cool.
I was following
You guys
along,
can finish
but
the
I was
podcast now.
No, I was just confused about the question. Are we talking about the mirror now?
No, we're talking about why there was a double yellow where Lando ends up not slowing down. Sean, give her some context, please. No, you know what? Put your pride aside. Take your Buccaneers hoodie off. Get back in the show here, for God's sake.
Stop telling me to take my clothes off, Nick. It's getting weird. There was a double yellow flag because Alex Albon's wing mirror was sitting in the middle of the track. A piece of a car, a rear view mirror was sitting in the middle of the freaking track. And rather than say, hey, that's dangerous, we should probably get that off the track because, you know, it's carbon fiber and glass and whatnot, and a car going 200 miles per hour down a straight could do some damage to that, or maybe the driver itself. Hey, let's get that off the track. No, they just told the cars to slow down. And I looked it up. When a double yellow flag waves, it doesn't mean you have to slow down to any specific speed. It literally just means you have to lift your foot off the gas. Like, think about when you pass like a trooper on the highway. You don't slow down to the exact speed limit. You just slow down so that they can see that you're decreasing in speed a little bit. And then
the secret is don't slam on the brakes, just lift.
Yeah, just lift.
Coast. Lyco, lift and coast.
That's all these drivers had to do if they saw the double yellow flag. Max did, Lando didn't. Max tattled on Lando, got him a 35-second stop-go, or 10-second stop-go penalty, which is like 35 seconds of the race. So
okay, so Sean, I know you're going to complain about this, and guess what?
I'm not. No, I'm not going to complain.
Did you see the replay? He had one flashing yellow light that he was basically passed by the time it flipped to yellow. The next one was green. He had like, and I know these guys have incredible reaction speeds, but like out of the corner of your eye, going that fast down the straight when you're trying to gain on the guy in front of you, the last thing you're going to do is be like, oh God, was that yellow? I should lift and coast. Oh wait, I'm already in the corner. Like, and he just got blasted by the FIA for that. Like, why?
It's the same thing as like when, like I said, I'll go back to like the trooper when a state highway trooper is like hiding behind a bush and you see him like in your ear, like, oh crap, he was hiding behind that bush, wasn't he? Dang it! Well, I was going 80 and a 70. That's my fault. I mean, he didn't slow down. It was a dumb mistake. But I've also seen a lot of chatter that like other drivers didn't slow down either. It's just that no one was paying attention. And it's also stupid that the FIA...
It was obvious seeing their splits because you were watching Lando's time. I bet there were other drivers that were...
That's what it was, is that Max was in front of him. Yeah. And they said that on the broadcast too, that Max, like 2 corners later, goes, did he not slow down through that? Because he just gained on me. So that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This situation, though, isn't this virtually the point of the VSC? Like, to get rid of something like debris at a moment's notice? Like, and then with the yellow flags flying, it's like, okay, so you know the mirror's there and it's off the racing line. Like, when I watch the FIA do their jobs, I feel like it like cures my imposter syndrome, which feels really nice.
If you think you're bad at your job, just go and watch the Qatar Grand Prix and look at the job the FIA did at keeping some semblance of safety during that race. And
they just changed race directors, and then it just got so much worse immediately.
Basically,
like, this was so avoidable. It was so wild to watch it, and they know that it's happening.
Yeah,
I'd like to be a fly on the wall in race control and just watch the shit show that was, because oh my God. And as a viewer watching the broadcast, I feel like all of us were being like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And like, they have all sorts of extra angles that we don't, and us as the viewer, we're all screaming like, call the VSC.
All they had to do was hit a button to signal the virtual safety car. All of the cars then don't have to just lift. They have to like go a certain speed limit around the track and maintain that speed, so someone can safely come onto the track and remove the freaking mirror that is on the track.
They don't have to, it's not a long thing. A VSC can be very quick. They don't have to queue up and everything. Like, it's just a matter of click. But then again, it's the same organization that screws up all the time. Like, we shouldn't be surprised. It's just that this one felt like extremely egregious because it was a minor thing with a simple fix that they botched and one driver paid for it.
Nick,
Oh,
it's
3
called a
drivers
motor
paid
race.
for it.
Oh,
It's
sorry,
called a
Katie.
motor race. 3 drivers paid for it because Lando got the stop-go penalty for it. And then you had poor Valtteri Bottas, who just absolutely ran right over it as he got out of the racing line to get lapped, essentially. He ran right over it. The thing shattered, ruined his race. And then Lewis Hamilton and Carlos Sainz picked up debris from it and both got punctures. And after both cars got punctures within the span of like 5 or 10 seconds of one another, then they're like, oh, maybe we should call for a safety car now. Like,
You
it
think?
was the most, like, just someone was literally, for lack of a better term, asleep at the wheel in the race director's room, office, whatever.
Did we talk about whose mirror it was? Because it's too perfect.
It was Alex Albon's.
A Williams,
Yeah.
a car that a team has had to repair so many times. And if you watch the footage, he's just going down the straight and it just goes ping and flies off. There's no contact. It just flies off. Like,
well, they've had to rebuild those cars like
Exactly.
65 times per car this season. And didn't Max make a comment of saying, like, I don't blame the Williams mechanics because they've had to rebuild that car so many goddamn times.
things probably held on by duct tape at this point. They're probably out of materials, for God's sake. I saw a clip of them bringing one of the wrecked cars and they're just like laying pieces down and like, well, got to figure out where that goes.
Every time the Williams, because I think heading into Vegas, I think there were 13 major crashes already heading into Vegas. And every time there's a crash, then they just show the Williams mechanics. I'm like, oh, I have to like avert my eyes. I'm like, I don't want to look in their eyes right now. Those
They're like,
poor folks.
We thought we were gonna have one easy weekend.
And it's like, well, that was your first mistake because the Williams have been so crashy. And I think part of it is the drivers, but I think part of it is just like the nature of the car. But man, there's some like bad luck thrown in there too.
Oh yeah.
It's just choke job after choke job after choke job from the FIA. And they tried to explain this after the race by releasing a statement and said the extensive debris after a car hit the mirror and the punctures that occurred shortly after the decision of a safety car, a VSC would not have been a solution, as the cars remain spread out and there is not sufficient time for a marshal to clear the debris. In that case, call for a full safety car. There's a piece of a car on track. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, yeah, it is called a motor race, sure, but like at the same time, you have a duty to keep those drivers safe. And had you just called for a safety car for like 2 laps, someone goes out, they brush it off, boom, good to go again. And now we don't have the entire debacle that we got in Qatar. And now we're not talking about the FIA.
You knew someone was going to hit it.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as it happened, you just knew exactly what was going to happen. And it could have been so much worse. Like, I feel like we're having this conversation about the FIA for like the 75th time of like, they're lucky that something worse didn't happen. Like, we talked about that in Suzuka with the tractor and like all these big scenarios. This is like on a smaller scale, but like, what if the tire blows up completely? Like,
luckily, Lewis and Carlos only had minor punctures, so they were able to go around the track completely, but that messed with their races too.
Well, and that messes with the whole championship with Mercedes and with Ferrari. Like, it's so down to the wire outside of Max right now that these things happening, like, what a nightmare for your own sport.
Yeah.
I will say the chaos that ensued, great television. Like, watching Lewis go wide on the turn and he's just scraping the underbelly of his car on the track. And then the same thing happens to a Ferrari. And then just like first off, the visual, as somebody who loves to watch things get destroyed, I my whole life, I'm a bit of a pyro and I love watching things get destroyed or blow up. And watching Valtteri run over the mirror and just seeing it shatter and all the glass on the track, I was like, more.
The camera operator teed that up perfectly because he knew it was going to happen. He's like, oh, here comes Valtteri.
Somebody's going to hit this.
They were like following Valtteri's car, knowing it was about to happen.
They knew. It was perfect.
All of us knew, apparently, except the race director.
Yeah. Perfect videography. And no one operating those cameras like, hey, is FIA going to do something about this? There's like a piece of a car on the track.
I've watched the footage of the mirror fly off just now like 9 times. It's just so satisfying to just watch the air, like the wind just Ping! There it goes. It's gone.
I can't see over my right shoulder. Yeah, we don't have a wing there anymore, Alex. Oh,
The weird thing is that where it landed almost hit the car behind him, who I think was Magnussen. Yeah, it wasn't too far off him. Wow.
My other favorite moment of the race also came from Alex Albon when he got hit by Lance Stroll, and Lance Stroll got a 10-second penalty for causing a collision. And Alex just gets on the radio and goes, I just got a big hit from Lance. I knew he was going to do it. I just knew he was going to do it. He's like, I knew it. As soon as I passed him, I knew I was going to get hit by that. You know what? And Alex is so polite too, like on the radio and like in media, and he's just like, I knew I was going to get hit by him.
What was the situation? Was it in quali that someone was like, yeah, I can't believe Fernando just did that, and they were like, it was Stroll.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
I think it was quali. I don't love a sprint weekend because there's just way too much going on. But
There is
it was
a lot
either the
going
sprint
on.
race or the quali. But yeah, Lance.
Oh,
guy.
Lance. Speaking of sprint, do we give Lando any flowers for allowing Oscar to pass him in the final couple meters? Hey, he returned the favor. No, okay.
It's
Doesn't
a
do it
sprint
for you?
race. Doesn't do
Well,
a thing for me.
Okay. I thought it was
I'm gonna
nice.
keep my comments to myself.
I thought it was nice. I thought it was a nice gesture between teammates.
I mean, I get it. Papaya rules. Just the whole way that McLaren has dealt with the whole year. Like
Yeah.
it just feels like the most pathetic, like little ribbon to be like, look what we did. It's like, nah,
Well,
that
it was
doesn't move my needle whatsoever.
well, it was Lando decided to do it on his own. The team told him not to do it, but he did it anyway. So I thought, I'm like, okay, that's kind of nice that you returned the favor like that at least some point. Why am I not? Hold on a second. You guys talk amongst yourself as I try and charge my computer.
So,
It
Katie,
does
how
work
was
for
your
some reason.
weekend?
Bye, Sean.
Well, the guy doesn't plug his computer in. See, this is the stuff that you come to the Gridiron podcast for.
No,
By
I
the way,
did plug it in,
comments
but it
real quick.
was, you know how like the cord plugs into the power unit, and it wasn't all the way plugged in, so it was,
I have a Big B comment here. He was lighting up the chat earlier. He said in our rule change segment, goalie on goalie penalty shot would be funny.
Big B, that's a terrific idea, and I had never thought of that. I fully endorse that.
My favorite things in all of sports: goalie goals and goalie fights.
Goalie fights.
Oh,
and e-bugs. E-bugs are awesome too.
Especially the Toronto situation where it was like the Zamboni driver that had to be the EEE, but
He's the Zamboni driver who never even played like AAA hockey, and it's like, I just won the game for us. David Ayers, great story. Anything else from Qatar, guys, as we head to Abu Dhabi this week?
No.
Cool.
I'm sad the season's over, but the pace of my life makes it hard to keep up. So I'm also happy that the season's over. And at one point, I will double back and fully enjoy this in the way it's supposed to be enjoyed.
I'm excited Lewis is going to Ferrari, but this is going to be a weird last race. Like it's
Speaking of which,
oh, look at that! Look at that!
I'm just
Look ahead
excited
to
that
the
we
season
get
finale.
a title fight headed into the last race, that being between McLaren and Ferrari for the constructors' title. McLaren holding a 21-point lead over Ferrari. It would take a lot for Ferrari to, overcome this, because what's up for grabs is 44 points total if you get first, second, and fastest lap. And they still have to overcome 21 points. So the math doesn't look great for Ferrari, but it still should be fun, because I know the FIA is going to do something. They're going to unlap the Ferraris or unlap the McLarens on the final lap and just let them race it out.
Sean,
Hey, no better place to do it.
That's
than
true.
Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
But the thing is, do you have a hard time letting things go?
If things are inherently wrong, yes. If they never should have happened in the first place, yes, I'm going to hold on to that for a while, Nick. Why? Why do you ask?
Was Santonio Holmes, did he get both feet down in the back of the end zone?
Obviously. And Jesse James caught it too.
Because there was a game, not to go back to football, but there was a game last night, and there was a catch specifically by Elijah Moore late in that game where everybody was pretty convinced that both feet weren't down. And I looked at it and I was like, that's Santonio Holmes in the back corner in the end zone. And if that's true, then that's got to stand.
No one thinks that, Nick. You're just thinking that on your own. Anyway, let's go to Abu Dhabi.
Let's
Let's do some race predictions real quick before we talk about Lewis. And let's see, it's Lewis's last race at Mercedes, Carlos's last race at Ferrari, and it's not Esteban Ocon's last race at Alpine. We'll talk about that in a second. Race predictions, guys, go.
Katie.
I'm never prepared for this.
Don't have to be.
P3, I'm gonna say Carlos. No, sorry, Charles for P3, P2 Max, and then I'm gonna say Carlos in P1. Because through all of this Williams stuff, I'm looking over at Carlos with just the utmost amount of empathy that he's like, this is the shit I'm walking into. And he's had a really, really good back half of the season. So I'm on the Carlos train right now. But yeah, I'd like to think that Lewis would make the podium, but it just seems like the vibes are a bit off with him and Mercedes right now.
Yeah.
Like that would be a nice kind of storybook ending. But I see Ferrari like really, really charging for this. And Max just looks dialed in. Not the Red Bulls, but Max is fully back. So Checo's doing his own thing. But yeah, 2 Ferraris and a Red Bull.
Nick?
I'm going to go Carlos as well for the same reason that Katie just explained. I want to go Max P2 because he's just had a really strong finish. But I'm going to go Lando P3 because a car is still fast as hell. And he was right behind Max for most of this race. And I think he'll be right behind him. That car is like good anywhere, right? So they got to be at least in the podium somewhere. But the storybook ending for Carlos, it's really more of like a enjoy this because you're not going to enjoy this next year. So
you are not.
Why I can. Yeah. Also on the Lewis topic, I know we're going to dive into that more, but I did find it funny that like everyone's like, well, so you just think it's like, it's not a you thing, right? Like it must be the car, even though George is, winning races and doing well. And he's like, I don't know. I'm just not fast anymore. And just winked at the person interviewing him. And I was like, yeah, that's how you get out of there. I would love to see him on the podium, but it's not going to happen now with the way that the car is set up.
So who are your top 3?
You get lost? Okay. Carlos Sainz.
Meandered there a little bit, yeah.
Max Verstappen P2.
Okay.
Lando Norris
P3. All right. I will take Oscar Piastri P1. McLaren go out on a high note. I'll take Carlos Sainz P2, and I will take Lando Norris P3 with Charles bringing up P4. Lando holds on to P2. McLaren win the constructors title.
Where's Max finishing? Or is he just like totally checked out?
I think he's like at this point, man. I think he is checked out. I think he got this last win. He's like, all right, I'm good.
Max
Checo's not doing me.
That is not in any fiber of his being.
I don't know, man. He showed up to Qatar not wearing any Red Bull merch. Speaking of, there's a lot of rumors that Sergio Perez is going to be not shown the door, but offered the door at Red Bull. Do we think he takes it? Do we think he walks?
Yeah.
I think he needs to get out of there.
Like the drop off last year was bad. The drop off was crazy this year.
Yeah, it really was.
And it happened earlier and it was just way worse. Like it feels almost automatic in quali that he's not even going to get out of Q1.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like he's just so much worse. And I don't know what it is. Like we've talked about it so many times on this podcast. Everyone's talked about it on every F1 podcast, but it's probably a culmination of different things, but it's just not working. And they gave it so many chances, which for Red Bull, as we've talked about, is super weird. Look at Gasly, look at Albon, like everyone else is just showing the door right away. But they have to make a move. Like, especially when Yuki is driving like that, you've got Liam Lawson. Like there's so many guys in the program that could step into that seat and automatically do better than Checo.
It's the scenario where I don't know what putting Liam Lawson or Yuki Tsunoda in that seat does, or if they do better than Checo, but at the same time, it is not working with Checo. And it's going to take a driver like Max Verstappen to keep that team in the fight next year. But it's a lame duck situation. You might as well see what you've got with Yuki or Liam Lawson. And there's probably a chance we see both of them in that car next year at some point or another.
I also feel like when you're in the airplane to go skydiving, they open the door and you can either jump out or you can get pushed out, right? Like if you're deploying and you're in a platoon of paratroopers, eventually you're getting pushed out. They're going to push Checo out. Like doors open, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
It just felt like the time to do that was before they re-signed him. Like we had already had this conversation so many times, then they re-signed and all of us are like, what are we doing?
Like, what are you doing? Carlos Sainz is right there. Sign him. Sign him.
And all these other drivers are right there.
But also Carlos Sainz. All right, Carlos Sainz, he is not going to be at Ferrari next year. Lewis Hamilton will be. It is sad to see Carlos going to a Williams because he's going to test with them next week after the season's over, and he's going to learn real quick. He's not at Ferrari anymore.
In that duct tape ass car.
Is this the one? Does this have both? Does this come with both wing mirrors? Okay, cool.
Can I get another mirror?
Oh, you guys got a heads-up display on your steering wheel finally. All right. Welcome.
Oh, poor Carlos. I don't really know how that happened. And he's been talking about it, that it is a bit disappointing for him seeing all these other teams pass over him. Like I just didn't expect him to end up at Williams. I'm so sad for him.
It's luck of the draw. That's how the world turns right now.
I'm telling you, and I'm gonna just make a bold prediction right now. Red Bull's gonna make a play.
I have a sneaking suspicion. You think they're going to throw a bag at Williams and say, "Screw it,
Yeah.
we'll pay you to get him out"?
Why wouldn't they?
I think it's a matter of breaking up with Checo first, and then
Didn't I? I think I brought that up a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago.
There
And
were
you're like,
rumors.
no, I don't think this is going to
There
happen.
were rumors that they were going to make a play. It was either going to be Colapinto or Sainz.
Like him anymore.
Play. No, it's not going to be Colapinto, but I think that they are going to make a play.
Because Red Bull have Red Bull money, I would absolutely throw a bag at Williams, who will gladly accept it because they need money, even though they're owned by a giant hedge fund in the U.S. I think that would be great. And then if you're Williams, you get to hold on to Franco Colapinto if you want. See what he's got. You've got Alex Albon. You've got two likable guys driving your car, two decent drivers driving your car. I like it. Replacing him at Ferrari, going to be Lewis Hamilton. And I can't wrap my head around seeing Lewis Hamilton in red. It's going to be weird.
I can. It's really good.
It gets Katie going.
Well, I feel like I've seen like it photoshopped so many times, but it feels right. I feel like I've done a lot of grieving with Mercedes throughout the season, but then seeing how they've dealt with Lewis, I'm like, I want him to be in Ferrari. I'm so excited about this. I'm gonna be so hard on the Ferrari train next year. It's crazy.
I think
Charles
that
and Lewis. Ugh.
the breakup just kind of got uglier and uglier as the season went along. The lines started to fray a little bit more, and then the gloves kind of came off, and you didn't even have Toto defending Lewis anymore. And it's really hard to even like Mercedes anymore because George Russell is a very unlikable character at times,
especially recently.
Yeah,
I love George Russell more every single race. He's
the J. Crew vibes and Daddy's Money vibes. Okay.
He's so, I just love how dorky he is on the radio. And I know that he's like the head of the, what is that they're called now? Like the
Grand Prix Drivers Association. Yeah.
You just know that's George. And I just love all the memes of him like stomping around and stuff. Like when he says his like wild British shit on the radio, I just like can't get enough of it.
Katie loves it when George Russell asks to speak to the manager.
He has such big Karen energy, and it's objectively funny. Like he's not the most like naturally likable, but because of the vibe that he brings to the paddock, I really,
That's it. That's Katie being the queen of chaos. She wants chaos. Yeah. Okay.
And then he'll be like, "Oh, I want to race like yabba dabba doo," and just say the most wild shit on the radio where you're like, "God, just shut up." But it's so endearing when it's him.
Then you have Max Verstappen calling him a dickhead, and then this weekend saying he's lost all respect for him because he went to the stewards and complained in front of Max about Max, so that he
basically he basically called him a what, Sean? A phony? A what?
A phony?
A big fat phony.
It's a phony. You're a phony.
Fat phony.
Hey, everyone, this guy's a phony.
Thanks, Katie.
I didn't see where you were going there for a second. I apologize.
I weirdly did. I wasn't even brought up in that one.
I'm sorry. I should direct all future Family Guy references to Katie Caldwell.
I'm insulted. It's going to be Lewis's last race with Mercedes, and it's also going to be, or it should have been, Esteban Ocon's last race with Alpine. But he's not going to get it, guys. Because after his race ended prematurely in Qatar, they announced that, he's done. We're going to have our new driver, Jack Doohan, race in Abu Dhabi for us. He's going to get the leg up, and thanks, but no thanks, Esteban. So he's out the door. The only driver that has delivered Alpine a race win before, not even given the courtesy to finish the season with the team.
I think you got to do more than that to earn that. 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton. Esteban Ocon. Choose your fighter. It's just not going to happen.
It's still a pretty shady thing to do. And Esteban, I don't know if you saw this, but tonight he released a statement. It's just, how upset he was about it, and a picture of the special helmet that he had made for the race occasion. On the back of it, it has him, the car, Pierre. It has him holding the trophy in Hungary. Yeah. He released this whole thing, the picture of the helmet. He was looking forward to celebrating with the team. He's going to Haas next year, but he was looking forward to one more race with Alpine. Yeah, it didn't end the way he wanted it to, but he was looking forward to celebrating as a Frenchman with the French team. And they ripped the rug right under
the French. Under him. They can be a cold bunch, I'll tell you.
That's why I was pretty shocked about it, because they finally had their we're Team France, then we got Pierre and Esteban, and then they finally are looking each other in the eye sometimes. It felt like it was finally starting to come together on paper for them a bit. Then the car ended up being pretty shit. Although Pierre has been driving really well lately.
Really well.
He has all of the upgrades.
Yeah.
Esteban doesn't have all the upgrades.
But that's where I just feel like he was really banged on this one. It's one race. There was a million races this season. We already know what we have in Jack doing. It's just let him go do his little circles in the car. And oh, I didn't know about the race helmet. That breaks my cold, dead heart.
And that day, her heart grew three times in size.
Oh, and Pierre made the cut on the helmet?
Pierre was on the helmet too, I believe. Yeah. Let me see here real quick, because I believe, they're also in a fight for P6. They're currently in P6 in the constructor standings, 5 points ahead of Haas. I don't understand why you would take Esteban out to put a rookie in there when Haas could score points at this race and surpass you. And that's tens of millions of dollars in prize money if Haas finished P6 over Alpine. It also doesn't make any sense logistically or competitively. So, yeah.
I hope Haas passes them out of principle.
I do as well. I don't like this move by Alpine. And this would be one of those moves where I really don't care about it. But, Esteban isn't, a jerk. He's a jerk to Pierre sometimes. But, also, he was at Alpine and he put his heart on the line for him.
Katie,
he could drive like a bit of a jerk.
I said he could drive like a jerk, yeah.
I caution you to avert your eyes.
No, my heart.
Yeah, for those of you listening in the audio format, I am showing the back of the helmet that Esteban was going to wear.
It's got the Alpine A's on both sides of the helmet. It says merci, thank you, and then has pictures from Brazil and Hungary. Yeah. And is that Pierre off to the left, or is that just another picture of Esteban?
I think it's another. I think they look like they're all Esteban.
Okay, I'm sorry. I sorry.
It's just kind of weird.
Pierre didn't make the helmet, but I thought he was the figure on the left. That's my bad.
I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of weird to have 3 depictions of yourself on the back of your head, but whatever.
Hey, teach their own, brother.
And that's why he's not racing in Abu Dhabi. They saw that helmet and were like, that's cringe. Totes cringe. It's not the vibe, bestie. It's Ohio.
Okay, I don't understand that. But
I think it comes from the whole mid. Everything is mid in the Midwest. I think it's that whole thing. If I had to guess,
that makes sense. Okay, that tracks. I was gonna go on a tangent. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stay focused here. Joke on you, points, baby.
And not just P10, P8.
P8. Sauber points. How about that?
Yeah.
And we almost had double Sauber points because Valtteri Bottas was in P10 until Lando just started ripping off fastest laps.
Oh, can we talk about Yuki and the beaver?
The way you said that.
Sounds
Can
like
we talk about
bad
Yuki and the beaver?
80s band.
Context.
Go for it, Katie. So anyway, Yuki and this beaver.
Don't mind me. I'm Canadian. Beavers are very normalized up here. So it says, asked by motorsport.com if he had seen the mirror. Sonoda said, was it mirror? I heard beaver. And then he goes on to say, my engineer said, there's a beaver, but is there a beaver in the Middle East? Like, how is it possible it is in the Middle East? And then it keeps going. It says, but okay, maybe there's a surprise with global warming kicking a lot of interesting things in the earth. So,
Did Yuki take an edible after the race?
Yuki's out there going 340 kilometers an hour, thinking about climate change and beavers in the Middle East. And I just love that principle that he's on the radio thinking to himself in the middle of a race going, why would there be a beaver here?
Max Verstappen, one of your 2025 teammates.
Oh my God.
I love Yuki Tsunoda. He can do no wrong.
That they were supposed to be driving high last week in Vegas, not this week.
Some of the drivers say they were because the aroma of marijuana on the strip apparently got to them. That's an interesting thing to complain about in Vegas. Not the heat, the dryness.
It's like right before school's out for the summer where everything is just kind of going off the rails. Like that's what this race week kind of feels like, where we're like largely checked out, but like gotta go and say our goodbyes and stuff, sign our yearbooks.
What, they're playing like Napoleon Dynamite and
it's just like those period. It's just those two people that are fighting over valedictorian, and like that last test score is gonna do it, but everyone else is just like, I'm ready for the summer, man.
Pretty much. Okay, last but not least, guys, where again are we racing this weekend?
Abu Dhabi. Yes, Marina.
Marina.
I just wanted to throw that up there. I just wanted a reason to throw
it
up.
Can you say, Nick? Say, Nick. Do it.
Yes, Marina. Yes, Queen. Yes.
Every time I see it in writing, that's all I can think of. Yes. Yes, Marina.
Anything else for episode 56 of the Gridiron Podcast, guys?
I have actually no, never mind. I don't even want to include that. We have a comment from Madden who says, "Can we talk about Katie being the Queen of Canada?"
Oh,
we always do.
Thanks. What do we want to talk about it?
Now, tomorrow.
How about next
in
week?
Perpetuity.
We'll talk about it next week, guys. We'll shelve that. We'll put a pin in that one.
Oh, Chef, that means you have to tune in next week.
He will. I'm sure.
For Nick Shook and our always Canadian queen, Katie Caldwell, I'm Sean Barie. This has been episode 56 of the Gridiron Podcast. And as always, live life in the fast lane.
And watch out for those beavers.
Good night, Reagan. Happy retirement.
You're retired.
That's why I said happy retirement. We can still say good night to her.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Let's end with a fight.
I'm cold.
Jeez, Sean.
Good night.